following is a production of Cary TV, the Town of Cary's government access channel.
We will call to order this meeting of the Planning and Zoning Board. We will begin, as always, with the adoption of the agenda. If anyone has any changes to the agenda, please let me know. Otherwise, I would entertain a motion to adopt.
I'll make a motion to adopt tonight's agenda.
Second, please.
Second.
All those in favor of adopting the agenda say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed say no. That motion carries unanimously. We will take our minutes separately. The first minutes we will be looking at are the April 17th meeting. Once again, if anyone has any changes or edits to those minutes, would you please voice them? If not, I'll look for a motion to adopt and approve those minutes.
I'll make a motion to adopt.
Second.
All those in favor of approving the minutes for April 17th, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. That motion's also unanimous. The February 13th minutes are next on our agenda. Once again, same rules apply. Otherwise, I'll look for a motion.
I'll make another motion to adopt.
You're on a roll.
I'll second.
All those in favor of adopting the minutes for February 13th or approving the minutes, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, say no. That also is unanimous. I will not be mentioning how we go about our public hearing tonight because we do not have any public hearing, so I will go straight to the way we proceed for a case without a public hearing, which is much simpler. We will hear from the staff. After that, we will hear from the applicant, and then we will deliberate and discuss and hopefully vote on the case at hand. There will be no involvement from the public. So we begin for our only case this evening is 17 REZ01. Good evening, Mr. Nicholas.
Thank you. Good evening, board members. For your consideration this evening is a request to rezone approximately 1 acre of property located at 6200 Holly Springs Road. Property is located on the west side of Holly Springs Road, approximately a quarter mile south of Tryon Road, outlined here in yellow. And just to give you some context of where it's located in relation to existing development, you can see the property outlined in yellow. You can see Colonial Baptist Church to the north, Swift Creek Shopping Center to the northeast, and the Coventry Glen subdivision to the west of the property. This is a closer view of the property. You can see this is currently developed with a detached dwelling and a detached garage. Existing zoning is residential 40. Proposed zoning is transitional residential conditional use, and there's only one condition attached to this request, and that is to limit the land use to townhomes. There's several recently approved rezonings and development plans in the vicinity of the subject property. I'll just review some of those real quick here. The Pritchett tract was rezoned in 2014 to residential 8 and residential 12 conditional use, as you see here, and that allowed up to 93 detached dwellings on both of those zoning districts. The Kensington East development, which was rezoned to MXD in 2015, allows up to 53 townhomes on the portion closest to Holly Springs Road and 7 detached dwellings on the portion just north of the R12 CU district that you see. Next is rezoning 14 RZ11, and that rezoned the property to TRCU and allowed townhomes at a density of up to 6 dwelling units an acre. A development plan for the Pipers Crossing subdivision, which includes 63 townhomes, has been approved for that property and is currently under construction. And that brings to the subject property for 6200 Holly Springs Road, and that would actually end up being an expansion of the Pipers Crossing development, which you'll see here in a minute. In this slide, you can see the Pipers Crossing development, a little bit greater detail. Area A is the property that's before you this evening, it's highlighted in yellow. That has, like I said, a detached dwelling currently on the property. Areas B and C were actually the areas that were included in the previous rezoning for Kensington Place, and that was zoned to TRCU. Area C is the actual Pipers Crossing development plan that was approved for 63 townhomes. So you can see the parcel B was not included with the Pipers Crossing development at that time. Area B contains a detached dwelling as well as A. Subject property lies within the traditional neighborhood category as shown on the future growth framework map from the Cary Community Plan. Directly adjacent to the site to the north in the darker colored area is the destination center category for the Crossroads Destination Center. Key policies from the Cary Community Plan that are applicable to this proposed rezoning relate primarily to infill and the creation of a transition between the destination center area to the north with the detached residential development to the south and the west. There are several specific plan policies that are discussed in your staff report in greater detail, and in addition, there's an attachment to the staff report that includes all of the relevant, or all of the policies that are in the community plan. According to the town's GIS maps, the site's not impacted by stream buffers. However, field determination of these features would be required at the time of development plan review. This slide shows the location of existing and proposed greenways and trails in the vicinity of the subject property. You can see the closest one is on the opposite side of Holly Springs Road, coming out of the Pritchard Farms development and heading north towards Tryon Road. Subject property is located on Holly Springs Road, which is identified as a future 6-lane median divided thoroughfare in the town's comprehensive transportation plan, which is in the MOVE chapter of the Cary Community Plan. There are no existing or proposed transit routes that are adjacent to this subject site. A future Go Cary route is planned on Tryon Road and Walnut Street, about a quarter mile to the north of the property. 7 people attended the neighborhood meeting that was held here at Town Hall. There was 1 speaker at the public hearing before Town Council, and questions and concerns expressed at the neighborhood meeting and the public hearing included traffic, widening of Holly Springs Road, and perimeter and streetscape buffers. And that concludes staff's presentation. I'll be available for any questions that you may have.
Thank you. We'll hear from the applicant if the applicant is here. I do not see anyone standing up to indicate they are the applicant, so I guess it's now to us. So, does anyone have any questions for the staff on this case? No?
Is there no one going to ask a question?
Pardon me?
No one's going to ask a question?
Apparently not. If you have one, go right ahead.
So Wayne, I'll just, could you explain again the road situation here that will be in front of that property with regard to the 6-lane plan and the current situation or prior situation of 4? What is that going to look like there, and then ultimately getting up to Tryon Road?
Okay. So where the property, the subject property outlined in yellow, because the new community plan applies to that property, that would be required to dedicate a 6-lane or half of a 6-lane median divided right-of-way. The property just to the south here, which was developed under the previous rezoning, at that time the community plan only required a 4-lane divided 4-lane roadway. So there is going to be less right-of-way, and that plan has already been approved. The subdivision plan has already been approved for that property, so they're only dedicating enough for the 4-lane cross-section in that area.
But because part or parcel B, apparently from your write-up, has not yet had a development plan submitted, now that we're under the Cary, new plan model, the planning department would be able to require that be additionally the 6-lane as well, once development plan is submitted for that, like A. Is that?
Right, if it's not on the current development plan, then it would be required to meet the new transportation.
Got it, got it. But clearly, Part C, which sticks out down below, is at this point 4, and that was done in the earlier times when that was always required. So is there anything with regard to the time frame by which some of the varying widths of road that will be developed here might be able to ultimately be consistent 6 lanes from the church parking lot entrance?
It's all going to be subject to when those parcels like A and B develop. I mean, parcel C is now in development, so that'll be happening soon. Parcels A and B, they're just, for A, they're just asking for the rezoning tonight. B has already been rezoned, but they're still using it as a detached dwelling. And my understanding is A is going to be in the same scenario. They'll be using it as a detached dwelling for a while until such time they want to incorporate it into the Piper's Crossing development.
And
it could be some time before the
resolve that.
road gets widened, correct?
But is it understood that there may be an entrance to Holly Springs Road someplace along the frontage there of parcel A? Is that?
I believe there might be an entrance. It may be restricted to just right in and rights out.
Okay, so it would sit just below where that.
But without a development plan, it's hard to
close. Yeah, okay. So we just don't know. It's going to be a little messy for a while until plans all develop. But no time frame for when all that will be resolved.
No.
So, all right. That's really the essence of my questions. Thank you.
I just have just a clarification. So what we're being asked is just this 1 acre, nothing to do with the changing the quantity of townhomes? Because I think it said at 88, is that?
88 was for when parcel B and C were originally rezoned together. The maximum could have, based on the land area, the maximum could have been 88. I think they ended up with 63 on just parcel C. They could end up with a few more on parcel B.
So, but what we're doing really didn't have anything to do with that tonight?
No.
Okay.
It's just for that parcel A that you see highlighted in yellow.
Okay.
And under the TR zoning, they'd be allowed a maximum of 6 units per acre. So the most, given that it's an acre, the most they could get is 6 units.
I couldn't tell looking at this if, that means they could squeeze another few units in or not.
On parcel A?
Yeah.
I think that's their intent down the road to someday add this to parcel C and B.
Okay. I just want to make sure that's all we were talking about was just this 1 acre, nothing to do with the capacity.
Yes.
Okay.
And since we were talking about the roads for a second, if you just take 1 second to explain the difference between them dedicating right away and actually building a 6-lane road or a 4-lane road. Just to clarify, when they have to dedicate, they just have to set that land.
They have to dedicate. So when they do their development
right.
plan, when they come in to plat their lots for the subdivision, they'll have to dedicate
Yes.
to, as public right-of-way, that portion along Holly Springs Road.
But not until they develop. This is more
Correct.
for everyone.
Not until they develop.
Not until
So
they develop.
if they don't do a subdivision plan and plat lots, then there's no requirement that they dedicate the land at that time.
Okay. Thanks for that little clarification.
I just have one quick question. It has more to do with is all the development that's happened that's clustered there. And I'm looking at the Pritchett track. Did any of those developments require a traffic study, or because they were all under 100 units that it's one of the situation we have is, I'm thinking of whether it's one of those cases where we have this aggregation where no one development triggered a traffic study, but yet, I can't do the math fast enough.
I can't remember off the top of my head. It's been a few years, and unfortunately, our traffic staff's not able to.
Okay.
So.
I was just
Looking
curious.
at the numbers, I'm not sure if they required traffic studies, just on the numbers you see on the screen here.
And I know there was a lot of discussion around the Pritchett track, but I don't know whether that had to do with traffic. And so it is one of those things where we're seeing the development where, it's like the frog in the boiling pot of water, you get 90 here and 50 there and 88 over there, and before you know it, 6 lanes may not be enough. And this is one other question on the Kensington Place, kind of following up on. So in their original case, they came in with a maximum of 88.
Well, that's what it was allowed under the zone. They asked for TR zoning, which allows 6 units an acre, so based
Okay.
on the acreage they had, they could have gotten up to a maximum of 88,
Okay, so they got a maximum of 88. They're approved.
just based on acreage alone.
Just based on acre, I understood. I guess the question is the approach when you have, let's say, is phase one, which was the original case back in 2014, and then they keep adding these, and the additive of, if in the additive it suddenly triggered over, let's say, 100 for a traffic study, is there a process that allows them to go back and look at the entire piece? In other words, I'm just looking at from where we're sitting, it's like this piecemeal approach, and we've seen it with some others, and this one seems to be in terms of the scale where somebody could piecemeal their way up to, over 100 units and circumvent the need for a traffic study by.
There's nothing in the ordinance that would trigger that.
Okay. Okay.
If
'Cause each one is a
each
piece
one
of
comes
itself.
in under the threshold, then it's not required to do a study. So
Okay.
there's nothing in there about cumulative impact.
The cumulative impacts. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Would anyone care to make a motion then, please?
Yeah, I'll be glad to do it. The way I feel about this is such a small parcel as compared to this big development that I would make a motion to approve. And I'm going to read it, yes. So I'd like to move that the board forward case number 17 REZ01 to the Town Council with a recommendation for approval as it is consistent with the comprehensive plan and all other applicable plans and is reasonable in the public interest for the reasons discussed.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion on that?
No.
I only think that it's not the burden of this particular lot, which makes sense to approve, but we're going to have to do some traffic planning and engineering here that may be accelerated based on how this development occurs, given what's going on here, because we clearly are going to have some problems between Tryon and down to Southeast Cary Parkway with the varying widths here. And I don't think that will work well for Cary and our residents who are going to be needing to use that road, particularly this development, but everything else going on there. So it's fine, but it's going to become a traffic issue that will need some bird dogging.
Any other discussion on this motion? If not, would all those in favor please say aye? Aye. Are there any opposed? Say no, please. That motion carries unanimously. That is the only case we have for this evening. Unless anyone has any other business to discuss, I'd be looking for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
And a second, please.
I'll second that.
All those in favor of adjournment say aye.
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 Motion is unanimous. Thank you and good evening.
This has been a production of Cary TV. Visit the Town of Cary's website at townofcary.org.